Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content, and to inform you, it's not that easy to be blue, having to spend each day the colour of the sea, when I think it'd be nicer being red or yellow or gold or something much more colourful like that. Joining us today is Dylan Blight.
What an intro.
Yeah.
Hello.
So I assume you finally got around to watching that Aladdin trailer?
No.
No, you still haven't seen it.
I don't need to have seen it because it's like one of those things that people complain about enough. Without seeing it, I feel like I have seen it. I've seen pretty much every screenshot I feel posted and turned into a meme or a joke of some sort. I've read people complain about it so much. I've read all the joke, So it's one of those things where I've just had so many people's opinions.
So you just accept other people's opinions and not experience stuff for yourself?
No. My thoughts on the Aladdin trailer.
Venom was a good movie, apparently. You haven't seen that, right?
No,
Millions of people went and saw that.
My thoughts on the Aladdin trailer are that one screenshot does look really bad.
Yep.
However, I thought Thanos looked terrible. And if you watch our reacts for early Avengers trailers, you can even see me go, oh my God, Thanos looks bad. And then when I saw the actual movie, they improved it and he was fine. So
yeah, there's a lot of rendering to still do.
Yeah, I'm going to hold my full opinion until I actually see the movie. But that one screenshot that's going around from the trailer where like it does look bad.
But then the high-res still they sent out looks
that
good.
looks a lot better.
It looks a lot better.
So yeah. So I think I'm not throwing under the bus quite yet, just yet.
No.
So
no, I've still got hope for it. I'm not terribly interested. I don't think. Nothing else about.
I think that's my problem. I think the cast and everything overall doesn't interest me. I suppose, from the premise of Will Smith as the genie makes me go, no. Like, so they have to win me over anyway. And having a shitty CGI picture going around doesn't really help swing me either way because I was already on the fence. So
I don't know. The rest of the footage looks fine. It's like nothing impressive. I don't know if it's a running thing, but it seems like a lot of these Disney live action things, they haven't got any dialogue from any of the new characters. I can't think in Beauty and the Beast. It was mostly just songs and stuff. There wasn't a lot of talking, or maybe a bit.
You're probably right.
And then the Lion King one we got recently that was just
does that even count? That was more of a announcement teaser.
And then the Dumbo trailers, that's mostly just music over
originals.
Yeah. Footage.
Well, there's a few trailers for that now. I watched the international one they put out the other week as well, and Dumbo's looking alright.
Yeah, it looks good.
Disney tangent. I'm scared the shit out of me as a kid, so looking forward to having my dreams haunted by a new Dumbo. It's all because of that one trippy scene. Do you remember the trippy scene in it?
Yeah, with the bubbles, right?
Yeah, with the bubbles. As a kid, that scared the fucking shit out of me.
Weird.
For some reason. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about what's in our watch history. So I went and saw the Lego Movie 2, the second part. The sequel to the Lego Movie from back in 2014. Surprising, it's been 5 years.
Long time.
Yeah. Again, we're with Emmett and Lucy and all the crew. Except it pretty much takes off right after the end of the last film, where the Lego Duplo creatures, spoilers, show up.
I'll point out here. You have a review. All right, Ash has a review up, explosion.com. I read your review, and when he got to the part where you point out Duplo box at the end of the last movie, I'm like, oh yeah, completely forgot that even happened until I just read this. I completely forgot.
I'm pretty sure that was before the end of the credits. It could have been a post-credits thing for a while.
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Yeah, they just pop up and say, "We're here to destroy you," in a cute voice. So it pretty much picks up from that, and then for a short period, and then jump cuts to 5 years later, and the city's ruined after multiple Duplo attacks, and it's pretty much they're just an apocalyptic wasteland they're living in, and then the leader of the Duplo army comes and kidnaps a bunch of people so they can take them back to meet their queen. And Emmett goes off to try and save them and stuff. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun time. There was a lot of... It's very smart, like in a subtle way. I think... I don't know if it's too spoilery to say that the first Lego movie is like a father-son story. Like, if you step back, that's what it is. Whereas this one's more of a sibling story. So... I don't know if
Can you spoil the first movie 5 years after it's been released and the sequels in
No,
the
but
cinemas?
to say that this is more of a sibling, it's a story about siblings than a father-son story is to imply certain things.
I don't know. I suppose it depends on what you expect out of this movie, and
Yeah.
to say I was expecting that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
if you wasn't,
I wasn't, and I predicted it wasn't going to be in there, but it is.
yeah, I completely expected it, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really surprise me.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun, good jokes. The story like starts off slow, but then really starts to pick up, and it's there is a twist that I didn't see coming that really it's a lot of fun. It makes it pretty interesting. There's a lot more musical numbers in this film than in the original, where it was just
Really?
everything. Yeah, there's the characters start singing again because it's like a sibling thing, you know. They even got like an iPod in the film. It's like a computer, like an iPod Touch is like a proper thing in the film. But yeah, there's a lot of jokes.
Are any of the songs good though?
Yeah, I enjoyed the songs. It's very meta, and that's one of the songs is super meta and on the nose, and like is a clear misdirect.
Everything is shit.
No, there's a song called "Catchy Song" that is going to be played probably just as much as "Everything Is Awesome."
No, we'll see about this.
We'll see it.
I don't know.
Well,
everything
yeah.
was
Well,
everything.
to be
is
fair,
awesome was,
this hasn't been as financially successful as the first film so far. I think first film made like $60 million on the opening weekend. This made 34 in the first weekend over in the States. So.
I feel like the first movie was word of mouth as well, somewhat.
Yeah, I think, like I said in my review, it was just so fresh and original. Like all the little things, like the little Lego block animations and that sort of thing, sort of blew people away. I feel like this is the fourth Lego movie that we've seen, if you include the Batman movie and the Ninjago movie in this animation style. So it's sort of lost its luster a little bit. Or you just don't appreciate it as much.
I think it's hard to separate because you got Lego movie, Lego the movie, then you got Batman, Ninjago, this one, but then you also have over on the side the straight to DVD Lego Batman, Superman, Justice League, whatever the hell else they've got it going on. Those straight to DVD ones, and I feel like if you're not keeping up with what's the difference, they're all just the same. You know,
I think you can tell the difference.
But to your everyday parent or whatever that's trying to pick a movie for the kids or something, they wouldn't. They just bumble them all together. But it's funny because in this Lego universe, the movie ones, they have the Batman from the straight to DVD ones, and that's a different Lego Batman to the Batman in that universe. Yeah. It's something is what it is. But yeah, I feel like they're all just when they sit on a DVD a shelf next to one another, it's like what they're all called the Lego something or other. So
yeah. It's also interesting because obviously Lego Batman's in this one as well, and they make reference to him having his own standalone adventure. But then he doesn't seem to have any doesn't seem to be anything from that movie carrying over to this movie.
I didn't like that movie, so
I'm sure you're fine with that. Yeah,
I'm okay. Yeah.
I think this doesn't come out in full release for another month, so bide your time, I guess.
Everything.
Speaking of Lego movies, you actually did watch one of those Lego Batman straight to DVD movies. Lego Batman the movie, DC Superheroes Unite.
Yeah, I think I have. I can't really see from here. I think I have another 3 sitting down here that I'm going through my unwatched Blu-rays once again. This is going to be a continuing trend for the next however many episodes of What Do You Want to Watch? You're going to be like, Dylan, you watch this? Why? And I'll be like, it was in my unwatched Blu-ray pile, and as I said, I'm getting through it.
At least you're watching them for a reason.
I'm working through it.
At least you're watching them, actually.
Yeah. It's fun. Yeah, so I've got like another 3 of these, I think, and they're fine. I enjoy them for what they are. I've seen one or two of the other ones, but They're made for kids. They're very simple and easy to chuck on in the background. And all of them run for like, I don't know, 70, 80, 100. You know, they're not even an hour and a half movies. They're very quick.
Short.
So, yeah, they're short because they're made for kids' attention span. So they're fine as something in the background if you enjoy A, DC characters, and B, kids level humor and entertainment. Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk about another one of those movies you watch. Let's start with Dallas Buyers Club. Go straight the other end of the spectrum.
Jeez, yeah, complete opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah, this was in the unwatched pile as well. Never got around to it when it won all the Oscars, and obviously it was in full swing and hype for both McConaughey, you know, getting up there on stage and being like, all right, as he accepted his
The
award
McConaughey or whatever it was called.
Yeah. And then Jared Leto winning as well for supporting at the, was it Emmys, Oscars, both? I can't even fucking remember now. But
it was the Oscars. It was a movie.
Oscars. Yeah, but it didn't win an Emmy as well, did it? Best drama or anything?
So that same year McConaughey was up for True Detective. I don't think he won.
I knew there was something going on, yeah. So I watched it. I think it's fine. I think it's overrated a little bit, or maybe it's just because I'm watching it now, 2019, and I feel like if this movie was made today, it would take the story a little bit further. I feel like it's not brave enough with the subject matter, but it was made X amount of years ago. So maybe at the time, but I definitely feel like if it was made now, that someone making this movie would be willing to take it that little bit further with the subject material, because obviously there's a lot in it, be it racism, sexism, homophobia, AIDS in general, and tackling that as a subject matter, drug dealing, technically. There's lots going on, and by the end of the movie, I didn't feel like they took certain characters the full length that you could take them and tell their story properly, especially when it came to Jared Leto's character. I felt like they didn't go further enough with that character as I feel like you could have. There's things I can't say without spoilers, obviously, but I know the movie's old, but I still wouldn't particularly want to spoil it. But I'm not saying it's bad. I enjoyed it. It was good. I don't think it's as good as I remember everyone hyping it up to be many, many years ago. But I think, as I said, I think that might be something due to it being a little bit older now. 5 years? Probably fucking 5 years. I don't even know. Who's got IMDb? 2013. So, yeah.
Yeah.
6 years.
So hasn't aged the greatest.
Yeah, I don't. It's nothing to do with the way it's made, or I just think from a writing perspective that if someone was writing the script for this today, they would be more open to taking a trans character in more braver directions, storytelling wise. It felt like an early 2000s writing for that kind of character to me. Cool. If that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, sort of. So I finally saw a movie that I've been trying to see for I think we saw the trailers mid last year. 8th Grade, directed by Bo Burnham, starring Elsie Fisher. Tells the story of a girl in her last week of 8th grade. Just sort of a slice of life movie. She's a very introverted girl, but then she goes and makes YouTube videos. And yeah, just putting her in these sort of different situations. She tries to, the superlatives they do over in America in the yearbooks and stuff. She's voted most quiet or whatever. It really hits her and she's really trying to get out of her shell in this last week and sort of change herself, I guess. But yeah, it is probably the most accurate depiction of people that age you'll see in cinema. They don't talk like people in a lot of movies where they're perfect dialogue and they don't make any mistakes, and they do 20-minute monologues off the top of their head. Apparently, she talks everybody in this talks like a normal human person, which I think is really cool. It is like awkward and cringy in like the best possible way, like in an honest way rather than a this is terrible way. There is some stuff in here that like towards the second half that was very difficult to watch, especially in this kind of era where she's in a car with an older boy and certain things happen. But yeah, incredible movie, really well done. Elsie Fisher is amazing. Her dad, played by Josh Hamilton, I think is going to be talked about as one of the best father figures in a film for a while. Yeah, so he's really good. It like maybe a little bit unrealistic because he's so good. Like he's the kind of dad you wish you had, you know. Super supportive.
Surely they exist. Surely they're rare, but not unrealistic. Come on.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's really good. I think it's just compositioned well. Like she does these YouTube videos about how to be confident and how to make friends and that sort of thing. It's in juxtaposition to her not doing that sort of stuff. So yeah,
it makes sense for Burnham because he started out
yeah
on YouTube.
Yeah, he was doing YouTube videos and that. I think he's talked about it's about performing constantly as well because everybody seems to be doing. She's constantly on her phone all the time on Instagram and Facebook and not Facebook, Twitter. Twitter and Snapchat and that sort of thing, was looking at stuff and that sort of thing. And every other person is doing the same sort of thing. They do these gun shooting, like a
high school shooter comes in. Yeah, I've read they do that. And I'm like, what a fucked up world you have to live in.
Yeah, they do that and they get under their chairs and they're all on their phones. So, yeah.
Far out. I haven't watched it yet. I really want to watch it, but I probably won't be able to until it releases.
Not until it comes out.
Yeah,
I think it's
unfortunately. But I read a funny interview with Bo Burnham a couple months ago. At some stage, it was like, "Why are the kids not on Facebook? They're on Twitter." He's like, "Fucking kids aren't on Facebook these days. Facebook's dead." I was like, "Right, finger on the dial."
Yeah, accurate. So you also watched a movie called Big Eyes. What's Big Eyes?
It's a Tim Burton movie, but it's based on a true story. So the true story is about Margaret Keane, played by Amy Adams, and Walter Keane, played by Christoph Waltz. And the story is basically that at the start of the movie, Amy Adams' character, Margaret Keane, she leaves her, at the time, husband with a kid. You never see this husband. The movie just starts, she leaves. And then she's a really good painter, and she's out painting in a marketplace one day and trying to sell paintings. And the way she does her paintings is all the people she paints have big eyes. Like kids especially she'll do with big eyes, but she'll do other things like animals too. And then she meets Walter, Christoph Waltz, and they become romantically engaged and whatever else. And then she ends up marrying him, and they end up trying to sell her paintings. Except one day when Walter's out trying to sell them and someone asks who did these, he starts saying, "Oh, I did these." And then this continues on for years, and she's in on it, and she's kind of okay with it at the start because he's like, you know, if you said you do it, wouldn't be able to sell as much. I'm a man, it'll work, because it's set during the, I don't know, fucking early 60s or late 50s or something like that. It's like, you know, if a man, some more people will sell it because I'm a man and I can sell it better. And Christoph Waltz playing this person that's really exuberant and out there, and he can talk to people really well and all these sorts of things. But basically she gets run down into living inside the house, painting these paintings while he's out on TV. And if you look it up, it's actually a really interesting story because it went on for years and years and years, and this dude was getting super rich, and he was meeting all sorts of famous people and Hollywood types at the time and all these sorts of things, all the while she's at home, the one doing the paintings. And eventually she says, "Fuck this shit, I need to try and prove that I'm the one that actually did it." So that's pretty much the premise of the story. And I looked up why apparently Burton was a big fan of Margaret Keane's, she's still alive, is a big fan of Margaret Keane's paintings and like commissioned to get her to do one for him like 25 years ago. It's like early in his career, and he became friends with her back then and talked about doing this movie for many years. And overall, as a movie, it's okay. I don't think there's anything particularly special about it. I think Christoph Waltz as much as he's kind of fun at the start to watch, be very outlandish and loud on the screen, and after a while he just becomes really annoying. And you could argue that works for the character because by the end of the movie you're not supposed to like him as a character, but I was sick of him even when I was still supposed to kind of like him. And there's a lot of other people in the movie who I'm not even sure why they were in it. Like Christian Ritter appears for a total of like 5 minutes as, I think, Amy Adams' friends, but I could never figure out why their relationship was a thing. It's a movie that's made fine, I guess, but it's held together by the overall story that's based on just being interesting, I feel. Like, you could have had someone else do it and tried to make it worse. It would probably still turn out being interesting because the subject matter is just interesting to start off with. So, but it was fine. I'd be much more interested in seeing like a well-made documentary or something about the actual story. That would interest me a lot because it's a interesting story, like lying for that long and then all these people believing someone was doing these really famous paintings and then someone having to prove their name, and the way she goes about proving it is also like, is that really how it happened? It's like, that's apparently how it happened. Okay. And it didn't happen not too long ago, really, in the spectrum of things, obviously, 70s-ish. Yeah, interesting story.
Why don't you talk about Piranha 3DD?
Terrible movie. Absolutely atrocious. I struggled to finish it, but I ended up just opening up my laptop. Well, a lot of times if I'm watching movies that I know are going to be kind of background material like this, I have my laptop open and I'm paying attention when I need to, and then zoning out a bit and doing stuff, work on there as well when there's more boring scenes out. But I pretty much zoned completely out of this movie, and it ended up just being background noise as I was just concentrating on my laptop. It is, I don't understand. It's like the first Piranha movie. Well, hold on, let's be fair. There is a Piranha movie that's made like in the 70s or 80s, like the original one. They then remade that in early 2000s into Piranha 3D, and that movie's okay. It knows what it is. It knows it's silly. It knows it's buying into the whole 3D premise really badly for a lot of gimmicks, be that fucking flying piranhas or fucking having boobs come through the screen and whatever the hell is going on. It very much knows that it's trying to be a 70s slasher and it's embodying a lot of the tropes. And it's fun. It's good watch if you're into those sorts of slasher movies. This one takes everything, dials it up to like 20 to the point it becomes utterly ridiculous and has a bunch of horrible characters. The only character that's okay in it is Danielle what the fuck is it last? Panabag, whatever.
Panabaker.
Killer Frost. Panabaker, yeah. Killer Frost from Flash and stuff. She's fine in it, but at the same time I'm watching it the whole time and I'm like, was this shot in like 2 days? Because it's like every line she delivers, I'm not saying she's Oscar worthy, but she's the best actor in the whole movie, and yet I'm like, could have done with a second take on that one. But I'm like, it feels like it was made in 2 days, and they're like, that one take for everything. And the kills aren't even that inventive is other problem. I'm like, you've got killer piranhas, and this is really the best you can do. At one stage, there's a fucking killer piranha hanging out a dude's ass, and they're literally asking someone else to rip it out for him. I'm like, okay, we've sunk to this level, I guess. And they up the nudity to about 20 as well. And to that point, it's just like, you went too far of that too. We've gone too far of everything. It's just not fun at all anymore. So yeah, they killed that franchise. They set it up for a third one. Fucking Christopher Lloyd. I was struggling for that name there. Back to the Future. Was in the first one as one of the main-ish characters. He kind of returns in this one for like total of, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes screen time as they go to him for help, like the killer piranhas are back, help us. And he gives a little bit of information, but then of course he rings in right at the end, and I'm going to spoil this fucking movie because no one cares. And right at the end, after of course they manage to kill all of them that are in the aquarium, which is where this one takes place. They kill them all that are in the aquarium, they blow up the whole thing or whatever, and then he rings up and he's like, we gotta go. No, he doesn't say we gotta go back. He says they're learning to adapt. They're growing legs. And then you see all the little piranhas. It starts like walking up onto the fucking side of the above the pool here. And this kid runs up and it just starts trying to take selfies with it. And the mom's like, get back, little Johnny, get back, little Johnny. And the kid's like, it's fine, it's just a piranha. Next minute, piranha leaps off the fucking ground, takes the kid's head off, credits. It's like they're growing legs. They set it up for a third one. I'm like, you're not doing a third one. Yeah.
You don't want to see a movie about piranhas with legs?
Fuck, you sure? It can't be worse than this one.
I saw also a ridiculous movie involving animals. I watched The Rock's Rampage.
Right, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if it's like a good ridiculous or a bad ridiculous. I'm still on the fence. If you don't know, it's the story. Apparently, this company is doing science experiments in space to make animals bigger and more violent and stuff. And then the space station or whatever they're holding all the pathogens in explodes. But they had these secret special containers that can somehow get through the atmosphere of space and come to Earth intact. But I know they're slightly damaged and they land in all different places and then infect different animals, including a albino gorilla that is friends with The Rock for some reason. And then they grow really big and then they start destroying stuff. Yeah, it's fine. The Rock's pretty good. The action's all right. Obviously the final third where all the creatures are fighting each other is pretty fun to watch. Jeffrey D. Morgan is all right. He does like a weird cowboy accent the whole way through the movie. Feels weird.
He's the secret agent friend we all wish we had.
Yeah, and then Malin Ackerman, I think she's probably the best performance, is like the head of the company and like a cold, heartless bitch, pretty much. Yeah, Yeah. Rampage. Did you see
it was all right.
Yeah,
I thought it was all right, especially given the source material because it is based on a video game.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like the base premise they keep intact from the video game, but I mean it's an 80s video game that barely had any plot anyway, so they just stretch that out the basic setup of that game into this, and yeah, it's not something I would watch again in a rush, but for that one-time watch, you know, as far as mindless action movies go, you stick The Rock in, you're pretty much in for a win anyway because he's charismatic enough to carry the thing. But there is one shot towards the end that I was just laughing. So, not because it looked bad, just because I'm like, this is a fucking movie. There's a shot at the end where all the animals are climbing this tall tower, and the camera's like going around them all. It's like there's the ape, there's the wolf, and then it swings around upside and you see this fucking giant crocodile just crawling up the side of a building. And when I saw the crocodile, I was like, fucking hell. Yeah.
I also love that they named the wolf Ralph because the internet just decided that's what it was called.
Yeah, sure.
It's totally a realistic thing that would happen.
I'd actually, I don't know if they have announced yet, but if they were like, oh, we're doing Rampage 2, I'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I don't know how well it performed. Not great, I don't think. So, we'll wait and see. The Rock can just go snap his fingers and something will get made.
Yeah, probably.
Speaking of franchises, you watched Terminator Salvation. That's the one with Sam Worthington and Christian Bale set in the future. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not getting my Terminators mixed up.
No. It was somehow worse than I thought it would be. Which I didn't think was possible because I already had like really low standards for this movie. And I never watched it. Like, let me say for a start, I like Terminator.
Yep.
I like Terminator 2.
Yep.
I like the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all I really like about Terminator franchise. I don't like 3. So after 3, I didn't have high hopes for this one as it was. And I remember when it came out, everyone was saying it was crap. And I never liked any of the trailers anyway. And I didn't like the idea of actually going to the war. Because I'm like, in lore, it's like, it seems like that's always the thing we should just keep away from. And you kind of like how but anyway, it's a very flashy movie with lots of CGI and yelling and screaming, and there's pretty much always some sort of action scene happening, and it's quite long. I feel like it was like 2 hours or so, but there's always stuff happening, but none of it is really interesting. John Connor, played by Christian Bale, is Christian Bale pretty much as you heard him on that leak set video where he's yelling about a fucking light guy. I'm pretty sure that's just his character throughout all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, he was he was method acting.
Yeah, I think so. Sam Worthington is Sam Worthington, I guess that's how you'd put it. And then everyone else is kind of just along for the ride. It's a very bleak and dark movie, and I know it's set during a apocalyptic times and whatever else, but like it feels like they were shooting in the desert, but then they still added a brown filter to it anyway, just to fucking make everything else look browner. I'm like, don't really feel this. And the story sets up basically upcoming sequels they were expecting to make, I'm sure. And this kind of feels like a prequel to set up what would be the next couple movies, which of course never actually happened. So overall, by the time you reach the end, knowing that we never get more from these stories or characters that are introduced in this, it is one big overall good-o. That was a movie. I watched it because I had it in my unwatched pile, right? But now that I have watched it, I'm going to put it out that I think I will watch Genesis, even though I'm not looking forward to that either. But I feel like if I've come this far,
Might as well.
Might as well finish up this run of Terminator movies, because the one that's coming out this year is doing a Halloween thing where it's going to... They haven't titled it yet. It's called Untitled.
I saw a working title. Hang on. Let me look.
Was there a working title? But that one, in case you all don't know, is doing much like Halloween did last year. They're going back and saying it's a direct sequel to Halloween. It's a direct sequel to Terminator 2, ignoring all of the films that followed it. So Terminator 3, Salvation, Genesis, they're all going to be its own timeline now, and we'll call that Terminator Timeline A, and then we're going to go back and we're going to get Terminator Timeline B. So maybe I'll finish up Timeline A just so I can say I've done it.
Is Genesis part of A, or is it like a Z?
I feel like it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters
it's not
if it's connected to Salvation or not. But since it's just part of the shit line that is over there, I'm just sticking it in that category.
Yeah.
You know.
So the working title is Terminator: Dark Fate.
That's a no from me.
Yep. Keep working on that.
Keep working.
I remember reading about Terminator Salvation that apparently it was going to be more focused on Sam Worthington's character, and John Connor was meant to be like a very background supporting character. But then when Christian Bale got the role, his role got beefed up substantially. Do you think it would have been more interesting as a...
Well, it would make more sense story-wise, because the movie starts with John Connor and he's doing a mission. But once he completes the mission and his opening action scene, he kind of spends the majority of the next 2/3 or 2/4 of the movie sitting around in the army base of the Resistance doing fucking nothing. And meanwhile, we're straight away after his first action scene introduced to Worthington's character, who spends the next bunch of the movie actually walking around the world, getting to know characters. Like he bumps into he died, R.I.P. Star Trek
Anton Yelchin.
dude. Sorry, what?
Anton Yelchin?
Yes. That's one. Bumps into him. He plays a character that's important to the Star Wars, to the Terminator lore. So, like, it does make sense when you say that, because Worthington was really the main character, but they had to inject a bunch of cut back to Christian Bale every now and then. What's he doing? He's talking on the radio. Yep, very well, cool. Yep, great.
I also love this fact. Apparently, Christian Bale revealed last year that he rejected the role 3 times before only accepting it, in part to prove people who told him not to take the role wrong.
Also,
don't take roles in spite of people.
I was looking up Genesis the other day after watching it, because there's spoilers for Salvation, although I really don't think anyone cares at this stage. There's a part at the end where they bump into Schwarzenegger Terminator. Like, it's got his face and everything, but it's so clearly just a CGI his face on. Like, it's not actually him. Yeah. And I Googled, I'm like, did they have to get it? I was wondering, like, did they have to get his permission? I couldn't figure out the legalities of it, but I did find an interview when Schwarzenegger was doing press for Genesis, where apparently he said that straight out, he's just like, yeah, Terminator Salvation, what a shit movie. Like,
yeah. So, diverging from that, you watched a movie called The Gambler with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a remake of a 70s film which had oh fuck, I can't even remember now. So I'm not going to bother trying. But it is a remake of a movie. It was fine. It's got John Goodman in it, being John Goodman, which is basically why I wanted to watch it, just because I like John Goodman. But the rest of it is meh. I feel like I don't really know. I didn't click with the message or the subject matter it's trying to take, because it's like, it's called The Gambler, and he does gamble. But the movie's point is trying to make is he's not a gambler like he's out to make money. Like, he's not addicted to trying to make money. He's kind of gambling to self-inflict pain. Like, he kind of wants to lose. So they dive into this psyche. Like, Mark Wahlberg's character is a kind of messed up character, and the movie does this whole thing of trying to point out to you how he's in a hole, he's in a rut, he's basically self-inflicting pain at every step in his life. He's not like slitting his wrists or anything, but he, like, a lot of the decision making he's doing throughout his life is just him either purposely or subconsciously just wanting to do things that could hurt him and fuck up his life on purpose. So that's like the gambling part. But I remember when I watched the trailer for it, they do try to sell it like, yeah, he's like a hardcore, like, proper gambler, you know, someone who's actually wants to make money and these sorts of things. Whereas that's not really the character it is at all. But then I feel like by the end of the movie, I don't feel like they sold the story of that character quite as well, even though I could quite clearly see what they were trying to tell me, because I can explain it now. I'm like, this is what they were going for, but I don't think they pulled it off well enough. So it's an okay movie. I would be more interested in watching the original and seeing if that one's the same storyline or they changed some things. I'm not quite sure. And if that one's better, because, you know, 9 times out of 10, the original is. So maybe I'll watch the original one day.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, I watched Fist Fight with Charlie Day and Ice Cube. It was fine. Pretty much everybody's playing on type, as you'd expect. Charlie Day, the zany, wacky, cowardy sort of character. Ice Cube, the tough teacher. Tracy Morgan playing Tracy Morgan. And Gillian Bell playing what was come to expect of her as well. So it was fine. There was some laughs. There's a fun school talent show scene where the kid's singing a song she shouldn't be singing and that sort of thing. But that's about not a lot to that movie. It was a fine hour and a half, I guess. Just
yeah, I've always viewed it as if I have literally nothing else and I want background noise material kind of movie. Yeah.
Yeah. You watched Maniac, another movie I've heard you raving about.
I don't understand the point of this movie. It's really weird. It's a... Well, let me put it this way. Let me build you up to what I think of this movie. Normal slasher horror movies don't star the villain. You know?
Yep.
They always have a cast, and then the villain's over here. Even if they kill everyone and they win at the end, it doesn't matter, because at least then you've got characters to care about and worry about throughout the movie and hear their problems and whatever the fuck else. I don't know. This movie stars Elijah Wood, and he is a psycho. He's a maniac. It's in the fucking title, hey? And he's basically like Norman Bates-ish, I guess. I don't know. Like, he's keeping his victims' bodies or their scalps, right? So this is the thing. He cuts off all their scalps and he's sticking them on top of mannequins, and he's like talking to them in his room like they're real people, kind of thing. Kind of like Norman Bates, spoilers, did with his mum in Psycho. And this is what he's doing. So, but the thing that made the movie stand out uniquely, I remember when it was announced, and the reason I brought it in the first place to watch was because it's primarily, like 90% of the movie is shot in a first-person view from Elijah Wood's character. And you hear a lot of his subconscious and things. So that makes, for horror fans, I guess, a lot of gory sequences where he's fucking stabbing people, cutting their scalps off, all sorts of gory stuff there in first person for you, if that's what gets your kicks off. But after the first kill in the opening part of the movie, I was like, oh yeah, first person, that was, interesting, I guess, is one way to put it. About halfway through the movie, I'm like, what is the story? Like, why am I watching this? I don't understand the purpose. I don't understand where we're going. It's just waiting for a train to crash because he's going to get caught or something by the end of it or whatever. But it's just like he kills someone. He kills another person. He kills another person. And then by the end of it, I was really just like, I don't get it. And it is missing that a character to actually fucking care about or anything, which most horror movies have. So, I don't know. It really didn't work for me, and I don't think the gimmick worked enough to warrant it, to carry it. And it's a remake as well, but the remake wasn't made in first person. So, and I don't know if the original, which is the same premise of someone that likes to cut the scalps off their victims and keep them, I don't know if that's original movie, because I haven't watched it, actually has a more intriguing character or side characters or something that makes the movie overall better. I don't know, but this one doesn't. So I wouldn't suggest watching it.
No. So I watched The Death of Superman, the DC animated film, and The Reign of the Superman, the other DC animated film. They're good. Obviously they did Superman Doomsday back in the day, which pretty much told the story of Death of Superman.
I've seen that one.
Yeah. This is much better. The Death of Superman actually more focuses on Clark sort of dealing with revealing his identity to Lois Lane. That's a main through line of the movie. So that's probably makes it a bit more interesting. You see a couple of the other characters being set up for Reign of the Superman, like John Henry Irons and Hank Henshaw and that sort of stuff. But yeah, obviously then Doomsday shows up, and he's, rather than, I think in the Doomsday one, they just had Superman fighting him. This one, the whole Justice League comes down, like in the comics. It's a pretty faithful adaptation. So, yeah. It's shot very well, and you do feel it when Superman, dies.
Spoilers.
Shocking.
Death of Superman.
He dies in it, yeah. And then The Reign of Superman, I thought it wasn't, the story wasn't as interesting. I don't know. It just didn't grab me as much. I hadn't read too much on the Reign of Superman era, like what happens and that sort of thing, but
is that in that do they get straight back to him coming back, or they do all the other Superman?
They do all the other Supermen is pretty much the story, yeah. So you got Superboy.
I've read all that stuff. So
yeah, you got Superboy, Cyborg Superman, Steel, and the Eradicator are the four Superman figures who sort of show up and sort of competing for attention, I guess, or for the mantle of Superman. And then yeah. And then Lex Luthor does stuff, and so one of them turns out to be evil and one of them turns out to be able to save the real Superman. Yeah.
Does Superman come back with a mullet?
Yes. I'm pretty sure he had a mullet. I can't remember.
That's the true testament of how faithful it is to
I'm pretty sure comics. He did, yeah. Yeah, but yeah. Continuing the high standard, I feel like the DC animated stuff's generally pretty good. Recently.
Most of the time it's pretty good, apart from Killing Joke, which was garbage.
Yeah. That was an awkward one. You also watched a movie called Revenge of the Green Dragons.
This wasn't good either. I've been on a sting of bad movies, which explains the movie I picked for what you want to watch this week, which we'll get to.
Why do you keep buying all these bad movies?
I can actually remember buying. I remember buying this one. Right, this was many years ago, but I remember picking up. I can't remember what else I picked up in the deal, but it was one of those things where Sanity had 3 for $40 or whatever the fuck it is, right? And I find 2 things I actually want, and then you do the whole, well, I might as well get 3 because it's 3 for whatever. So then I just go looking for something, and this is what I happen to pick out. And I picked it out because it's directed by the same person who did Infernal Affairs, which is really good. And it was produced by Martin Scorsese, who obviously did The Departed, which was basically based on Infernal Affairs. So I'm like, all these things, but this movie was more of an American production. So I'm like, what do we got going on here? It's not good. It tells an interesting story, and I would like to see the story done by someone else or something, because I don't know how much of it's based in 100% true story. Like, the characters are real, true story, but like how much scene for scene and actually what happened, I don't know. But overall, it tells this story of a gang that's in, well, I think they are just straight up in Chinatown, and they're fighting for in New York or wherever the fuck it is. Yeah, I think it's New York, and they're fighting for the ruling of that place against a couple of gangs as well. So it's a gang movie, like most gang movies, and Ray Liotta is in it briefly. Kind of. It's really weird because he's the biggest actor in it, but he just turns up for, I don't know, probably 50 minutes total screen time as this police officer trying to put a stop to them, because it's a whole ring, which apparently at the time when the movie set, people weren't clicking onto what was actually happening, because there was a whole they were sneaking in people into the country, and then once they would sneak them in, they would force them to do work for them in their basically drug empire. And then at the same time, when all these rival gangs were killing one another because they weren't white people, the cops were like, who fucking cares? Just let them all kill one another and get rid of one another. Who really gives a shit? So until, of course, there's one sacred rule: never shoot a white person, which someone eventually breaks in the movie, and that causes a bit of a fuss. So, but it's very style over substance. There's a lot of monologuing and montages and VO over montages explaining what's happening and all these sorts of things. But overall, it just felt like there's material here, but it really isn't put together well at all. So I would like to see someone else have a stab at it. Sorry to say this isn't the correct movie if you're looking up for the true story of the Green Dragons.
Cool. So I've been watching a new sitcom called Single Parents, starring Taran Killam and Leighton Meester from Gossip Girl fame. Pretty much tells the story of this group of single parents, sort of working together like as their own de facto family, because they lean off on each other for support, and they get each other to babysit their kids and stuff. Created by Elizabeth Merriweather of New Girl fame, and JJ Philbin, who I think previously worked on stuff like The OC and Saturday Night Live and stuff. I find it really enjoyable. It's got a very good ensemble cast. Brad Garrett is the other big name from Everybody Loves Raymond, who's the other big name in the cast. They've got a bunch of kid actors who are really funny. Currently airing on Fox 8 here in Australia. But yeah, I find it a very enjoyable show. I've watched a bunch of episodes, just binge watched. Really, really easy to watch television. And I'm a fan of Taran. Half hour? What? Yeah, half an hour sitcom. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm a fan of Taran Killam from back in his SNL days and stuff. He's really good. But then Leighton Meester, I wasn't expecting. She's really funny. I hadn't seen her in any comedic work, but she's, quite amusing. So, yeah. You also watched a movie called Trakt.
This is a really good movie, and I'm glad I can finally say I watched it.
I'm good. I'm so happy for you.
Me too, because I was on a roll of fucking shit. So Trakt is a true story of a woman who travels, I was quickly getting the exact number here, 1,700 miles across Western Australia, the desert to the border somewhere. I can't remember exactly where she ends up, but very long journey. And that girl is played by Mia, is it Wasikowski? Is that how you say it? Are we confirmation? Sure. Don't know. The girl who played Alice in Alice in Wonderland, I suppose, is the go-to if you don't know who she is. And then Australian film, obviously, Australian produced and mostly Australian actors in it. You have Adam Driver, makes sense that he's actually in it because the person he's playing is not supposed to be Australian, so comes in with a very thick, outstanding Australian accent whenever he enters the movie. But so starts out, she goes, and I found it really interesting too because it was a story I hadn't heard of, like at all. And apparently when this trip was happening, and they go into this throughout the movie, like people driving out there as she's walking across the desert, and she kept getting interrupted by people trying to take photos of her and stuff. And of course, they show it in the movie that does a head in at some stage because she's just like, leave me the fuck alone. Like, Katie's just fuck off. But yeah, so it's apparently a big deal. I didn't even have any clue though. She starts out by going to Alice Springs, somewhere around there. And she lives there for like a year trying to learn how to tame or look after camels because she wants to get 3 to take with her across the desert because obviously they'll survive, but then they can also carry her, camping gear and so on that she'll be bringing with her, supplies that she needs. So the first little part of the movie is just her living out there. You get to meet some interesting characters and stuff. And then she goes on this perilous journey. And by the end of it, fucking... Mia Wasikowska, or however we're saying her name.
I think she looks.
I think I'm getting for once. I might be getting the name right. Hey, that'll be a surprise. Yeah. She looks really fucked up, and like in a good way for the story wise and stuff. But it's just like towards the end of the movie, it's just like her skin. Whenever they show her the makeup and stuff, was really good because they show her face and it's dry as fuck and peeling, and she's just sunburnt, buggery, and all sorts of things like this. And Adam Driver is her romantic interest, I guess, for the most part of the movie at first, although they don't really get along. But yeah, it was a movie I mean, this is a whole separate topic, and something I wish I was better at is, as much as I can sit here sometimes and be like, and it's a real struggle when you live in Australia to actually know when Australia's putting out Australian movies, I feel. Like they're not promoted anywhere easily inside Australia for you to find out. You kind of have to seek them out for yourself half the time, or be paying attention to particular circuits and magazines and whatever else. But I had this one sitting here for ages, and I regret not watching it quite a long time ago because I think it was really, really good and powerful and well acted and shot beautifully in the Australian outback and stuff. So really, really enjoy it. Would really, really recommend it.
Cool. And I also watched the Shane Dawson Conspiracy Theories series.
Whole fucking thing?
Well, there's 2 episodes.
Oh my god.
I don't know if you can call it a series if there's 2 episodes. I'm just saying. But they are an hour and a half each, so they are quite long. The first one does like a bunch of different conspiracy theories around the California wildfires, talking about deep fakes, subliminal messages in cartoons and stuff, that sort of thing. That one's fine. I mean, the issue I have with this series, I think, is it's too mixed altogether. I don't know if that's a style from his earlier conspiracy theory videos where it just feels like all the conspiracies are all mixed together through the whole 90 minutes. Whereas I think I'd prefer if he just focused on one thing and then put that out as its own single video. Like do one video on deepfakes, do one video on the California fires. Especially because on the second episode, he goes into this Chuck E. Cheese recycled pizza theory. Have you seen this?
No.
Well, from the looks of it, all the pizzas when they cut the pizza up, the pizza doesn't look like they fit together. So the theory is that they go around after everybody's finished their pizzas, and either the left they take to the kitchen, and they put together to make a new pizza.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't buy into this conspiracy theory, but okay.
Do you see the footage and you're like, you see pictures of the pizza and you're like, it's plausible. But then they cut that and they're fun going to Chuck E. Cheese and getting involved with kids with his old friend Brittany Louise Taylor, formerly a YouTuber. Yes. She was in a domestic abuse sort of situation where her husband, it seems like her partner got her pregnant on purpose with the intention to get her and her child sex trafficked over to Europe.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah. So it's
And they
riveting.
mix these things together?
Yeah, they're cut like apart along with like some voice manipulation software tool that like you enter things in and then copies your voice or whatever. So these three things are all intertwined and it sort of doesn't thematically fit. You've got this super serious thing and then this super we're looking at pictures. I mean,
I started watching the first one.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit in. And then I turned it off because I was like, I don't have the time now. But also I didn't return to it because I was very confused about why everything was getting mixed in. And I'm not only confused from a production point, why you would choose to put everything together, because I think it makes it a worse product. But then I'm confused from B, just a YouTuber standpoint of you put them out separately, there's more chance people will watch them, more retention rate, more time for ads, views, clicks, etc., etc. So it confuses me when there's a chance for like 10 videos, there are just 2.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, you need to check out those Chuck E. Cheese pictures. It's crazy.
Yeah, I might watch it. It's just like an hour and a half. Fucking.
Yeah, it is. It's
edited weirdly.
It is.
Maybe,
yeah.
We'll see.
So let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. You watched the big release, hyped up movie on Netflix, Velvet Buzzsaw. Recently shown at Sundance to mixed reviews. What do you think?
I was really looking forward to this. Let's put that out there. Dan Gilroy directed it. I really, really love Nightcrawler, which was his first directed movie. And both of these movies starred Jake Gyllenhaal. Velvet Buzzsaw is a really weird movie, and I'm not sure if I dislike it or like it. And it's been like over a week since I watched it, and I'm still not sure. It is that weird of a fence-sitter movie to me. And I was also going to write a review. I woke up the morning after I took notes for it. I wrote notes after I finished watching it to do a review. I then woke up next morning and in the shower thoughts, was like, I don't know if I can actually write a review of this. Because also one of my problems is because the movie, if you don't know, it's set during the art world. So Jake Gyllenhaal's basically a reviewer. And then other characters like, hold on, who we got here? See, Rene Russo's character is like the manager or runner of a museum, basically. And then Toni Collette is also someone similar, and then she changes job halfway through the movie. But overall, all people are involved in the art world. The main girl, whose name is not even popping up here and I've lost, but she's like a receptionist kind of thing. But what happens is she finds the receptionist girl. She finds, is it Zaye Ashton? I never actually heard of her before. Let's double check because she's important, but they have the names listed kind of funny here. That's it. So it's Zaye Ashton. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I'm very sorry, everyone. She finds, she gets home one night and upstairs in her apartment, this old person's died. And she looks inside and there's a bunch of fucking artwork, like lots and lots and lots of this artwork. And the person who was emptying an apartment said they was going to come burn it all the next day. So she decides, this is really good. There's a chance for me to make money. I'll steal it. So she takes it, shows it to Jake Gyllenhaal's character, all these sorts of things. And they're all like, this is amazing. Fucking, oh, wow, we're going to do all sorts of things. And then they begin showing it to all these other people, putting it on the art shows, whatever else. And then through some sort of sci-fi, mystical, whatever, supernatural, who's to say, elements, some weird things, and people who have seen the paintings or are helping in part with the selling of the paintings are getting killed in rather grotesque fashions by mystical forces that be. So it's a horror movie, I guess, but it's also mainly feels like Dan Gilroy's combined his idea for a cool setup for a horror movie, which is like inside museums and all these sorts of things with paintings killing people somehow, and he's then combined that with wanting to say something about the entertainment world and the art world and all these sorts of things, which is where it came into being weird, where I wake up next day and I'm like, I want to write a review for the movie, but I also feel like this movie attacked me several times with lines about reviewers, even though like it's attacking people, paintings reveals and stuff, but they're still just poking fun at critics in general, like in the movie. Like Jake Gyllenhaal's character is very, he's very arty, pompous-y, all these things. There's even a part in the movie, and it's not really a big spoiler, there's a slight spoiler, for something that's non-sequential to the overall plot. But his character gets told off once. He's like, comes in, and this person's like, did you know such and such killed themselves? They fucking rode off a car the other night. And he's like, oh, that's so sad. Like, what happened? And then the person says, oh, after they read your review where you called his show utter trash, gave it 0 out of 10 or whatever, they drove their car off the side of a cliff the next day or something along these lines. So it has a lot of punches and jabs at critics, I suppose, which is why it was kind of hard to be like, should I even bother writing a review for a movie that seems so intent of just being like this? But it does a lot of interesting things. It does a lot of things that I can't decide are interesting or just really terrible at the moment. And overall, I still don't think I would suggest watching it because I definitely know it's not going to interest or be enjoyed by the majority of people. So it's a really weird movie. If anything, the plus about it is it's shot well and all the actors in it are really, really good. That's the main thing. All the actors in it, in the cast, great. You get to see them do lots of things, especially if you're a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. Watching him play his character, it's an outlandish character once again. That's quite fun. But if you're not into horror movies, or especially weird arty-farty type movies that are trying to have some kind of underlining plot about art and what is art and how do we critique and say what is art, because it feels like he's trying to say that it's really weird. It's like I feel like he's trying to say that we should be okay with bad art because who's to say it isn't art. So he makes like a kind of trashy horror movie that's trying to make fun at people that make fun of that, but then it doesn't do it well. I don't know. It's a whole thing. Someone smarter than me, I'm sure, if will write an article that explains my points that I think this is trying to make a lot better than me. But yeah, I can't. I'm sorry.
So I watched the other Netflix film that came out, High Flying Birds, directed by Steven Soderbergh, shot on an iPhone 8. So it pretty much is a story of an agent dealing with his rookie number 1 draft pick during an NBA lockout, which pretty much means that they're not playing basketball. So everybody is not getting paid and that sort of thing. It's interesting. It's like a very slow movie. A lot of long takes, a lot of long scenes of just people talking. If you're going into this expecting basketball action, you're going to end up disappointed, which I think is probably why the IMDb score is pretty low. It's oddly riveting, like to watch. Andre Holland plays the lead, and he's very charismatic and is very fun to watch deliver all this Soderbergh dialogue. Zazie Beetz is also in it as well, which is very good. But yeah, there's not much to it. The oddest thing about this film is they intercut in parts with interviews with actual NBA players, NBA rookies. There's a player called Karl Anthony Towns. He's 7 foot tall, but they've positioned the camera so he's looking up. So I don't know why they did that. It's so like, why didn't you lower the camera? I mean, how high would you have to put the camera?
You can't do anything. Side note, because as soon as you brought this up, I forgot this movie was even a thing, and I might watch it because it's a Soderbergh film, but I feel like this is him just fucking around with the iPhone gimmick, I suppose, if you're saying the story isn't actually that big of a deal or interesting.
I think it could have easily been a play. That's why it would have been easier to shot as an iPhone movie.
There's that movie Tangerine that came out a couple of years ago that was all shot on iPhone. I haven't watched that yet, but that's been on my watch list for quite some time now. Yeah. That's like kind of the original. It was all shot on an iPhone thing. So
pretty sure you talked about Unsane, the other one, Soderbergh film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember that was shot, but
iPhone as well.
I feel like every time it's iPhone movies stuff comes up, it just reminds me, fuck, I should actually watch Tangerine.
Watch Tangerine. Yeah. So after last episode, pretty much as soon as we finished recording, you took my advice and you watched Sex Education.
What a show.
Yep.
I did. I watched an episode, I think, after we finished recording, and then I pretty much finished it the next day or two later. I binged it.
Before the episode came
about
out.
It. I pointed out to you after that we recorded the episode like 2 days before it released. And by the time it released, I'd watched all of Sex Education. Whereas on the episode, I'm like, nah, I haven't seen it. Yeah, by the time it's out, I had actually seen it all.
Yeah.
Sex Education is the best TV show of the year so far, I feel. By far.
To be fair, it's a month and a half in, but yeah.
I know, but I still feel like most of the time, like we could be this far into the year and I wouldn't be, it doesn't mean I have to call something best TV show of the year, you know? Like I could be to June and still be like, nothing's hit that mark yet, you know? Especially because it's a new show. And most of the time, if I'm going to say something is my favorite TV show of the year, I'll have to wait until fucking Better Call Saul returns or something. I'll be like, yeah, here we go. Here's some good stuff. But I think for a new show to come in this good, and in a genre, and you want to call the genre like teen romance stuff, comedy, I guess, you know, whatever you want to call that sort of stuff. Yeah. It's kind of your typical category, but it's the fact that all the characters are great. They're varied. You know, they're all different. They're all written well. It's also a show that tackles a lot of sex stuff. And I mean, it's in the title. And of course, like a lot of show is about sex and these sorts of things. But it's the way it tackles it in a way that's really adult. And I don't mean
mature,
yeah, I don't mean like visually adult. I mean
not
mature.
Adult in the porno sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mature in the way it tackles a lot of its themes in a way that most shows just don't, or straight up will not, especially when it comes to American writing, because they have such a weird thing where, you know, violence is okay, but sex stuff is weird and don't talk about that or don't go into that kind of thing. So this show's just like, I feel is the way it's written is amazing, and the way all the characters are brought into that story is really, really engaging. The way it handles a lot of the LGBTQ stuff in it is also really smart and well done and unique in a lot of ways. And also, I also think one of the standouts for me from the show, and it has a lot of things going for it, a lot of things we can't get into without spoilers, but character-wise, I think having a show where the main character is just friends with a gay guy and they quite happily share physical emotion and show each other that they care about each other, but no one, like, it's not a thing that's called out, you know, like it's not like like gives a hug and then like, oh, no homo, you know, this sort of shit. And especially one of the later episodes, those two have a really, really great moment that I think is quite powerful for like hetero relationships with a like gay and not gay, to kind of help normalize that in the world. So I think the show is really, really great. And Gillian Anderson's in it, and she's always great, and it's no difference here. She's once again fantastic.
She's fun to watch. Great show.
Yeah, I feel like everyone should watch this show. It's definitely the standout for sure.
Yeah. You also watched a show called Insta Famous.
Yeah, that was, well, they're like 8-minute episodes. I think there's like 10 or 12 episodes. Yeah. So it was just a straight up binge through to the finish. Some of these are okay. However, they start on the account Fuck Jerry, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is a terrible account and is run by terrible people. Yeah, and they're in a lot of trouble at the moment as is, and they've always been in a lot of trouble. I just feel like that most people didn't really know about it until recently, when a lot of celebrities have been helping kick up fuss. Because Fuck Jerry is an account that literally just screenshots funny stuff and then reshares it. It's basically the same as the Jewish guy, whatever the fuck he's, Fat Jew or whatever that account's called. Fat Jewish, I think it's Fat Jewish. That guy's an account basically does the same thing.
Yeah,
just photoshops of people's tweets and images and whatever else and shares them, and then profits off other people's stuff. And a lot of comedians, especially, I know, like for many years, have called out these accounts because they profit off other people's writing and works and all sorts of things. But that's a whole thing. Anyway, my point being, it starts on this guy, and if you start the show, this is your introduction to kind of what Instagram celebrity people are. And I feel like if they should have put this episode like halfway into the series, because starting off, it's like, fucking everyone on Instagram sucks. Everyone on Instagram is a fucking douchebag. But some of the other ones, they're okay. You know, like there's one guy's story who is famous. He shoots like a bunch of like waves. Like he'll get under the waves with a camera, like dive under them and like does shark photos and all sorts of things. And they show like his whole setup, and he just lives out in Hawaii, and he's a very Hawaiian dude. He's just like, you know, dude, like I'm just living my dream. Fucking Hawaii's the best, man. You know, these sorts of things. So those ones you're like, yeah, it's great that we have a platform these day and age where this guy who had a dream of kind of wanting to photograph this stuff and enjoys photography actually managed to make it his job through the use of Instagram, which is the kind of stuff we have. But then they start off the series with someone just ripping off of people's jokes. I'm like, that's fucking terrible. Don't go about that way. They have a bunch of other like people who just got famous for memes basically, and not like ripping off other people's memes. Like they basically made their lives into memes, which I know a lot of people are like, well, how come they're famous for fucking doing nothing? But I'm like, you know, you can't, just because they uploaded a funny video and then people enjoyed them doing it and they kept doing it, you can't really knock them for that, I feel. It's just do what you need to do. They interviewed one of them, some girl who's famous for like doing twerking and stuff. And once again there, I'm like, not an account I'm personally going to go out of my way to follow, but you know, keep doing you. At least you that's fine. Do what you need to do. But yeah, it's like 8-minute episodes. And I think there's only like 10 or 12, so you can binge through them pretty fast. And luckily, you don't have to put up with Fuck Jerry for long, if at all. Just skip the episode. But I can't, because then it'll be on my Trakt as unwatched. I could say I'm marked I've watched it, but then you know that's lying, and God does not like.
Just don't watch more.
Well, yeah, could have.
There's so much to watch. Then why keep watching stuff you're not enjoying?
Because it was only 8 minutes. I started it and I was like, fuck. I didn't know it was him first. I clicked play, I put the remote down. It was like, fuck Jerry. I'm like, fucking hell. But then I knew it was only a short episode, so I think I just let it run through because I knew that was short.
All right. So you also went on a Narcos binge. You watched Narcos season 3.
Yep.
Thoughts?
Not as good as 1 or 2. It closes up. If you don't know, seasons 1 or 2 of Narcos follows Pablo Escobar's story, and spoilers, he dies at the end of season 2. Season 3 sets up the kind of the family that was left in that area to kind of take over his reign, because he was the number 1. So then the number 2s take over, and season 3 is about taking down the Cali cartel, who was stepped in. It still has what is his name? He's going to be playing the Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal. Yeah, so he was in season 1 and 2. He was one of the DEA agents. He's also in season 3. The other dude left, who was in the Wolverine movie. He left. It's fine. It's more Narcos. It's just none of the. I don't feel like it was as interesting, especially as you come off Pablo Escobar, and the dude Wagner, or whatever the actor's name is, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting it, who plays Escobar in the first 2 seasons is amazing, and that's why he was nominated for an Emmy, I think, for that as well. It's hard to come off that and then come into this and be like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not as good as the first 2.
Cool. Then you watched Narcos Mexico. Didn't give it like halfway, 3/4 of the way through that.
I think I got 3 episodes left or something. It's at first I was confused because they've done the whole thing on Netflix where Narcos is 3 seasons under one thing, and Narcos Mexico is its own show, like it's separate.
Yeah. It's like Nailed It Mexico.
Yeah, exactly the same. But first I was confused because I'm like, why are you separating? Because it is the same show, production company, even some of the same characters are in it. Like there is some crossover characters between Mexico and the Colombian series, because there's like especially one of the pilots that is used a lot by Escobar to help traffic drugs is first introduced. Well, his timeline is first introduced because he's comes in with the Mexican people, and that's how he meets Escobar later. Because also, spoilers, we get an Escobar cameo in one of the episodes here when the Mexican drug lord meets him. So they've created this whole Narcos multi-shared fucking universe thing going on now. But it's really good. Diego Luna plays the criminal lord enterprise dude. I can't remember his fucking name. Miguel something or other. And then also, what the fuck is his? Oh my god, I'm forgetting everyone's names today. Michael Pena Pena?
Yeah.
Pena?
Pena, yeah.
He plays the DEA agent who's hunting him down, and he's also really good in the show. I know how the season ends, and it doesn't end well for him, but I'll get to that when I get there. It never ends good for the good guys, really. But the bad guys, of course, always have it coming. Narcos is a really good show. I feel like if you grew up, if you're around my age, and you remember when that first like couple seasons of Underbelly were on TV, and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is the shit. And then Underbelly went to shit. Yeah, it's like, go watch Narcos, because then maybe Narcos will do Narcos Australia, and then they can remake Underbelly.
Yeah, I suspect why they called it Narcos Mexico is like make it an easier entry point for people, rather than season 4 of Narcos. Jump in here.
Yeah, I feel like if you look at Narcos and you go, none of that really interests me, that character, that time period, anything like that, but you're like, Mexico seems more interesting, you can jump into this without having anything to do with the original Narcos run, because that's what's like the characters that cross over, it's set before the original Narcos season anyway, when it starts out, and you don't really need to know anything, so it's fine. It's good though. If you like, I like true crime docos and series and stuff. I think that's a running theme at this point. I talk about true crime TV shows and docos a lot that I watch here, so I enjoy that stuff. It's always interesting. But it does make me wonder, because I'm watching Narcos in Mexico, and I'm going to be caught up for when season 2 drops later in the year. They haven't announced a date yet. They are filming it, though. And when that comes out, it makes me wonder if they're going to do a fucking if they'll do a season 3 or something of Mexico that's about El Chapo. But then it's really weird, because El Chapo, who was the current kingpin kind of after this dude, he was only arrested like a month ago. And he's like literally on trial at the moment. So I'm like, can they do a series when like the end of his timeline is literally that close to now? Like, I don't think they can do that. So anyway, it's interesting.
Then you also watch Meet the Drug Lords inside the real Narcos.
As I was just saying, I enjoy this sort of stuff. Yeah, that was only 3 episodes. It was really good though. So the dude who hosts it's like some ex special forces British dude. And I don't think he's done much TV. He does. I looked it up. He does some British like TV show where they have contestants go through like rigorous training stuff and whatever the fuck else. But he goes to a couple different countries: Mexico, Colombia. I don't actually remember what other one was now. But yeah, it kind of goes over the main big drug empire stuff and goes through, meets some dangerous people. You know, like gets carried across boats in dodgy ways and hides from people and gets told to wait in hotel rooms, and these dudes turn up with masks on, and you know, he's like, well, you know, what would happen if this? He's like, well, they'll just fucking kill you, so how about that? So, but yeah, if you're interested in how all those worlds work, especially because this stuff is was shot like only last year, and it's like, if you're one of those people that's naive and thinks that the world is actually winning the kind of the war on drugs, I guess it's like the war on drugs was lost, and the fucking tables keep turning. And I do find it interesting, as I was saying, just with they just got El Chapo, and they take that as a win, but the system is so fucked that someone else will just step up and take that position anyway, and so the wheels of the drug trade just continuously churn and churn and churn. So I do find it interesting to watch stuff about it, because it's just such a systematically fucked up thing. Like there's no way to stop it. And also this show, I like how it ends, because it's not like these people are selling drugs, they're horrible, blah, 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 blah. He kind of ends it on a note of, yeah, drugs are bad, but from what he could gather from talking to most of the people, the reason they're even participating in it is because they come from such poor backgrounds and stuff. Like he goes to one country and place, I can't even remember what it's called, where they basically all make cocaine there and then sell it off to the high drug lords. And it's basically because every other job that they could get legitimately in that place pays a tenth of what they could make in a day by making cocaine, or like traveling it across the border and these sorts of things. And basically everyone always says, you know, I'm doing it to provide for my family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the show kind of ends with him saying the war on drugs is a war on poverty or something, I think is the line he ends the show on. And so I kind of like that it wasn't taken in just the typical fuck drugs, all these people are bad, blah, blah, blah. It's more like there's a story behind what leads to people doing this for the most of the reasons.
Cool. All right, let's jump into some film news, and probably the biggest news of the last couple of weeks. Ben Affleck is not returning as the Batman, specifically in Matt Reeves' upcoming Batman movie. Yeah. Are you disappointed, upset, indifferent?
I don't care.
Yeah. I feel like the writing's been on the wall for a while. This has been Ben Affleck was obviously he was working to write and then direct the Batman standalone film. Then he sort of dropped off, and then Matt Reeves took over. And now it looks like he's finally admitted that he's not going to be part of the ongoing Batman series or playing Batman at all. Yeah. I know the Justice League is falling apart as we speak. We don't know if Henry Cavill's coming back.
I'd like to point out that this is a younger Batman story. It's supposed to be like a prequel. So when they announced that someone else is going to play him, and that I see all these headlines, Affleck out. I'm like, but it's a younger Batman. Like, even if they announced the same day that he was signed on for a Justice League 2 or something like that, it would still be a different actor playing it, I feel. Because that's like the whole idea of the film, is it's young, like year one, even though they've said it's not drawing from that comic, but it's supposed to be that time period of Batman. Whereas the Batman we know that's set up in the DC universe now is been around for fucking ages, had Robins killed on him, these sorts of things. So
yep.
I don't really care if Affleck returns or not, to be honest, because I don't feel like wasn't as impressive as we all kind of hoped he would be. Not saying I dislike him as Batman. He's fine, but he's not so good that I'm going to cry if he leaves. But at the same time, when this story was up and everyone's like, oh, fucking yeah, oh my God, who's going to play Batman next? And all these people are trying to cast actors for the same role, which is the DC Batman that we know now. I'm like, you're not casting that role. No. You're casting a young Batman. That's what the movie is. Can we please read the fucking synopsis, people?
Yep.
Like what they're saying, the information's there.
I have a list of odds of who's going to be the new Batman. And we'll run through it and we'll see what your opinions are of each actor. At $4, well, I don't know. These aren't technically in dollars. I think I got this list from Belgium, so whatever the currency in Belgium is. But I'm just going to say dollars. Sure. So at $4, we have Jake Gyllenhaal as the front runner.
No.
You don't think he's a good fit, or is?
I think he's just in a Marvel movie. I don't think think he can jump.
We live in a new world, Dylan. Randall Park was in a Marvel movie and it's a DC movie this year.
Yeah, but that's like a subcategory.
I mean, not as one of the leads, but
yeah,
I'm not sure. At $6, we got Kit Harington coming off that Game of Thrones. No. Yeah, I don't know. He's been rumored about it for a while, but yeah, I don't see him as a good fit either.
No, I don't see that at all.
I mean, what's he going to look like when he cuts his hair?
Yeah, I don't know. End your career after Game of Thrones. That's the only show you could do.
Yeah, probably. Just live on that, live with that licensing money. Also at $6, Robert Pattinson.
I've seen this go around, and I've seen everyone complain. I'm not against it.
Yeah. Obviously, everybody who's complaining is mostly remembering him from Twilight, but since then, he's done a bunch of indie fare. It's interesting that his career's sort of gone the same way as Kristen Stewart, where they've gone down the indie path and they've both come out better actors.
I always used to stick up for them both in Twilight. Not that I think all the Twilight movies are good, but everyone used to give them shit, and I would stand by them because I'd watch them in other movies. Like I remember Patterson did Remember My Name, and Kristen Stewart was doing like The Runaways and stuff around the same time period of the Twilight movies still coming out, and I'd be like, look, they can act.
Yeah,
they're getting direct. They're playing these characters in Twilight. That's not just that. Like he's meant to be a stiff fucking vampire, and she's meant to be this or whatever, But yeah, Kristen Stewart goes off. She does things like The Shoplifters and stuff, which is fucking amazing. Like recently, and a bunch of other things. Robert Pattinson did the Good. I can't remember the name of it now. Good Time. That was really fucking amazing.
High Time or something coming out as well.
Yeah. So, and he's been So they're both really good. Everyone that just complains about Robert Pattinson is just living off Twilight memes. And look, if let's ask the question: if you should not be allowed to fan cast if you've only seen one of the person's movies. I feel like that is bad.
Well, unless they've done one movie.
All right, in that case, I'll allow it. But other than that, it's like, all right, Rob Pattinson, what have you seen him in? Oh, just Twilight. No, fuck, it can't be him. He's done like 30 movies now. They're all shit, probably.
Do you think he'd actually do it, though?
Fuck no, I don't reckon he'll do it. I reckon he'd stay as far away from a franchise thing after Twilight.
That's what I think as well. Yeah. At $7, we have Armie Hammer, which is amusing because a decade ago he was cast in the failed Justice League Mortal movie from George Miller.
No, I reckon he would stay away from it, and I don't personally think I don't like him personally in the role. He's too stereotypical for the role. I feel like it just he kind of looks and sounds the part, and everyone just kind of goes, "Well, there's Batman, I guess." But
I don't know. Yeah, everyone kind of wants him to play Green Lantern, so it's interesting. All these superheroes are interchangeable. Anybody can play anybody. At $9, Michael B. Jordan. Would he take the role? Is it just too much trouble than it's worth?
I don't know. It's a weird one because I feel like he would take the role if Ryan Coogler was directing it. Is the answer? That's the answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a really bad joke I could make here. Oscar Isaac's at $9. Don't feel like how does he fit Star Wars in with a Batman movie? I mean, that's
I don't see him as a Batman either, really.
Yeah. At $10, Timothy Chalamet. I think that's too young. I don't think they're going that young for a Batman. I think he's still playing high school students, so
yeah, I think he's way too young.
Yeah. But, if it keeps again delayed, maybe you'll get there. Yeah. At $11, Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah, I could see him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even more so than Michael B. Jordan, probably, actually.
Yeah. Also, $13, Milo Ventimiglia, his This Is Us co-star. Rocky's son.
No.
$13, Richard Madden from Bodyguard and Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. Maybe?
Yeah.
Like, I can't see it fully, but there's a chance, I suppose, depending. I'd give it a shot.
Yeah. $15, Taron Egerton from Kingsman.
No.
Yeah, doesn't fit,
no.
I don't think.
No.
$21, John Hamm. Not likely, I don't think.
Everyone wants him, but he's way too old. That's what I'm saying.
He's too old, unfortunately.
So.
And then at also $21, Michael Fassbender.
Nah, way too old, I think. And the Magneto thing kind of.
Yeah, that's
you can't.
He'd be a good Batman, but yeah, he's so connected to Magneto. I think it'd be hard.
Yeah, I think
everybody. Yeah. Also, $21, Riz Ahmed.
No.
No, that seems the oldest one so far.
That one was a joke one.
And then at $21, Stephen Yeun from Walking Dead.
No.
Yeah. And I think also $32, James Franco.
No.
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 Do you feel like they need to cast a name actor? Which is what they're going for?
No, I want a random. I want someone I've never heard of.
But every single superhero for the last decade has been a name actor.
Yeah, but I feel like because it's Batman, it doesn't.
Except maybe Chadwick Boseman, but
you don't need an actor to carry the role. Like people go watch it anyway because it's one of the rare occasions where just the title of the movie. Well, it's the same Star Wars or anything, Like it doesn't matter who's fucking in it. People are going to watch it because it's Batman. It doesn't fucking matter who's playing Batman. People just want to watch it because it's Batman.
I feel like it's such a prestigious role that you have to have a name to play it.
Potentially.
Yeah. Is there anybody in particular not on that list that you think would do a good job?
I have no picks, really.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I don't even care to think about at this stage. I think I'm so hurt by DC, I really don't even think about it.
Two names that I just want to bring up. Daniel Kaluuya. Obviously, someone tweeted about Daniel Kaluuya playing the role. that blew up. But I think if they go in that direction, if they're bold enough to go in that direction, you do a really great job. And then also Darren Criss. I think he might be an interesting choice as Batman. Yeah, he probably fits the right age bracket for what they're going for. So, yeah,
it's not bad.
No, so we'd be waiting till 2021 apparently when that comes out. Also, and confirmed that James Gunn is directing the Suicide Squad, the soft reboot sequel thing, and that's coming in 2021 as well. Apparently, he got offered Superman as well, but he turned it down and chose Suicide Squad. Yeah, but yeah, interesting. Yeah. Continuing from the DC train, Warner Brothers announced they're making an Aquaman spin-off. They are planning to make a whole movie around the trench. It's going to be a horror movie produced by James Wan. What could go wrong? Yeah. I think I thought they were pretty good in the movie. They look scary looking, but do you think they'd work in a horror movie setting?
I don't understand what's going on at DC half the time, and I thought this was a joke story when I first read it. I thought it was an Onion story when I first saw it pop up, but apparently not. No, so yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's like half their films fail horribly, and they're struggling to find good characters and whatever to do films with, and they're like, "Oh, Aquaman just made money. Everyone likes that. Spin off The Trench, sure." No, I'm not on board. They can happily prove me wrong, but I didn't think they looked too good. I thought for the most part the CGI character things were kind of meh in that movie. Actually,
yeah, I'm not sure how it'd work because they're like set in the middle of the bottom of the ocean, so unless it's like how you do the shark movies where they're stuck in the middle of water. It's like open water, but with the trench.
Sure.
I know. I think it has potential. Obviously, they've got some sort of idea for a plot or something, if they're even working on it.
I'll make it up at the last second. It'll be fine.
Switching over to the other side of the comic book war, Marvel announced they're doing a bunch of animated series for Hulu. They're going to be more adult-orientated. So they are doing Marvel's MODOK, which centers around an egomaniacal supervillain with a really big head and a really little body who struggles to maintain control of his evil organization and his demanding family. Written by Jordan Plum and Patton Oswalt. Thoughts? You let me know if you have any opinion on these. No?
Yep, that one's a whatever.
Marvel's Hit Monkey tells the tale of a wronged Japanese snow monkey mentored by the ghost of an American assassin as he cuts through a wide swath through the Tokyo underworld in this darkly cinematic and brutally funny revenge saga. Writers are Josh Gordon and Will Speck, the team who did Blades of Glory, Office Christmas Party, and The Switch.
I don't like the pedigree behind it, but the synopsis sounds cool, I guess.
Then we've got Marvel's Tiger and Dazzler show, which is a story about two woke superheroes and best friends, Tiger and Dazzler, as they fight for recognition among empowered people who make up the 8 million stories in Los Angeles. Writers are Erica Rivinoli, who's done South Park, Last Man of Earth, Girls Trip, and Ugly Dolls, and Chelsea Handler.
That's a big old no.
And then finally, Marvel's Howard the Duck, who is trapped in a world he's never made, but America's favorite fighting fowl hopes to return home with help of his unstoppable gal pal Beverly before the evil Dr. Bong can turn him into the crispiest dish on the menu. Written by Kevin Smith and Dave Willis, who's worked on Space Ghost, Aqua Team, Hunger Force, Archer, and Squidbillies.
This is a yes.
Yeah, that one's going to be the one that I feel gets the most attention. Obviously, Kevin Smith being attached draws in a lot of people. Obviously, Howard the Duck's the most recognizable name out of all those.
Oh, is it? I feel like most people don't even know who Howard the Duck is. I feel like Kevin Smith, as you said, draws in attention. So already that makes it the most popular one. but then also it's the only property that I have any sort of attachment to at all. And by attachment, I mean like I enjoy the Lucas early film. That's bad, but bad good kind of. I enjoy that, and then I also enjoy the run of comics that I've read, which were like the reboot they did a couple years ago for
The ones
for him.
written by Scotty Young, I think.
I think
maybe?
so, yeah. So and that run is a lot different to the movie, which I saw when I was a kid. So that changed I was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah, I
everything's
think
changed.
anything they do is going to be different to that movie.
Yeah. So my idea of what it was not at all correct. But both of those things I enjoy. So I'm on board if this TV series or it's a show, right? Yeah. It's on,
They're all TV series, animated
Yeah, okay.
TV series.
yeah. So I'm on board for whatever this show. If it goes direction of the movie, I don't care. Goes direction of the comics, I don't care. Whatever way, I'll enjoy it.
So they're also
Yes.
going to be doing a crossover special called Marvel's The Offenders, in which all of them will sort of team up to try and save the world. Obviously, a play on The Defenders. It's interesting that they're pushing more content onto Hulu. I think we've discussed it before. Now that they're buying out Fox, they'll have like a majority stake in Hulu. So it seems like they're pushing all their more adult content onto Hulu rather than the Disney Play format, which it definitely appears it's going to be family-friendly content. So
Yeah, I saw a story. There was also a story. It was like Hulu could bring back all the Marvel shows. I'm like, oh god.
well, yeah, keep having hope, I guess. It's also funny seeing all these after that Deadpool animated series got cancelled as well. By Donald Glover.
What a huge disappointment that was.
Yeah. So, speaking of Disney Plus, apparently they're bringing back the Muppets in a new series. I think they were planning for it a couple of years back. They had they had that show a couple of years, 2015 on ABC, which I think got cancelled pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And then they had the two movies, which first one was good. The
First
Muppet-
one is amazing.
It is. Yeah,
Second
it's great.
one is
Fine.
okay. Like I wouldn't rewatch it, and I haven't rewatched it. Whereas the first one I've watched several times and love it.
So the Splash Report, which apparently is a pretty reliable source for scoops, has learned that Frozen voice actor Josh Gad is working with ABC's Once Upon a Time creators Edward Kiddis and Adam Horwitz on the new Muppet Show. Apparently, the project will be called Muppets Live Another Day, and is set to be set in after the events of the Muppets Take Manhattan in 1984.
Alternate timeline Muppet movies.
Yeah, sure, why not? It's all the rage at the moment. The gang is disbanded by Kermit for some reason, but they all must get together following the mysterious disappearance of Ralph. I mean, if there's any reason to get back together, it's to save Ralph.
Sure. I think no matter what the synopsis or the setup for a Muppets thing is, it could sound really cool, it could sound really bad, but what makes a good Muppets TV show or movie is the through line of the interactions between the characters and the jokes and all these sorts of things. So it really doesn't matter to me what the setup is. It doesn't tell me if it'll be good until it shows up. Like that Muppet
it's
show
all about
from
the
a couple of years
execution.
ago. Yeah, that Muppet show from a couple of years ago sounded fine. I had no problem with it. But then it came out and it wasn't good because the writing wasn't up to par. So yeah, it's one of these things. It's like, whatever, just let me watch it and I can judge them because Muppet things are way too hard to judge have proven to be way too hard to judge without actually watching it.
Yeah. I think it would be fun to see them back in the 1980s, sort of not having to try and fit into current pop culture, which it feels a bit forced sometimes. I saw Kermit and some other Muppets were on Drop the Mic the other week. The video was doing the rounds, yeah.
Oh.
The bit was Kermit wanted to be really nice in his raps, and then Miss Piggy was not.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I feel like that first Muppets movie worked well because it played with they are retired and coming back. And
Well, I think Jason Segel just is a huge fan, obviously, and just filled it with a lot of heart and stuff. So,
well, I that movie's funny because from behind the scenes, I remember after Forgetting Sarah Marshall, there was apparently stories that he was going to do a spin-off movie about the Muppets thing that he does in that. like the play he talks about.
Yeah, the play.
And they were talking about actually doing that as a spin-off thing. And then a couple of years pass or whatever, and then all of a sudden, Muppets movie. So, connected? I don't know. Maybe. Who says?
Who knows? And finally, apparently, Gioma Tacone from The Lonely Island has been pitching a MacGruber TV series.
No.
Okay, moving on. No,
maybe,
no,
I don't know.
No, yeah, apparently he's quoted as saying, "We just spent the last 2 days pitching it as a TV series, 8 to 10 episodes. I'm really hoping that when you print this, there'll be an announcement that actually happens, because I know nothing right now. This is the first time I mentioned it to anyone, so this could be a tragic interview." But apparently, yeah, Will Forte, Ryan Phillippe, and Kristen Wiig are all happy to return, as well as Val Kilmer, who, spoiler alert, blew up at the end of the movie.
Did he?
Yeah, that's what the story says.
What?
Who was shot dozens of times while falling hundreds of feet off a cliffside and was then blown up by a grenade and urinated on by a triumphant MacGruber.
There you go. Sure.
This is such an interesting thing, because MacGruber was such a flop.
Huge flop.
Huge.
Critically and commercially.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. But, apparently they've been kicking around ideas for years, so maybe they've come back with something better.
Maybe. I just have low faith, I guess.
All right. So this in a couple of weeks, I think on the 25th, the Oscars are going to be presented, sort of. Some of it live, some of it
Presented.
Not. So we're going to be doing our 91st annual Academy Awards predictions.
Oh, I do want to say first, before we get into it, I'm still not happy there's not an actual real presenter. No, I don't think it matters too much, but I find it weird now that it's actually a thing that's 100%.
I love that they came out and said, "Oh, we did it. We're not having a presenter for time."
Yeah, sure.
We couldn't get somebody.
Yeah, fucking radio. But the biggest thing is the whole snubbing a bunch of awards and in commercials. That's no. Especially the one that most people have been upset about, and I think rightfully so, the cinematography one, getting snubbed under a commercial break there's a big fuck up by the Academy, as far as I'm concerned. So it's like if you want to run that, if you want more viewers and you want to make it, all right, just make the MTV Movie Awards. Is that the show you want to do, or do you want to do a show that's actually about representing and treating with respect the industry and the people involved from all aspects, from your huge movie stars to the people that actually make your movies fucking look the way they do, cinematographers. So all aspects, everyone should be there. But everything they're talking about, saving money and time and all these sorts of things, getting more people to view it, I'm like, the way they keep talking, it just sounds like they want to do the MTV Movie Awards. They want kids to watch it. It's like, you can't get kids to watch the kind of show the Oscars is. It's not meant to be entertainable to them, I guess,
Well, I don't know if you saw this tweet by Andrew over at the Curb, but he suggested that maybe they take these blockbuster movie trailers that they show during the Super Bowl or whatever and put them in the Oscars telecast. Do you think that would be something to draw people in?
I think that gets them more viewers, but I can guarantee, picture this. We're watching the show.
Yep.
Bunch of people who never usually watch the Oscars are tuning in to watch Avengers trailer or something like that. All day throughout Twitter, if you click on the Oscars hashtag while watching a show, everyone will be complaining, boring. How do people normally watch this? Just give us the trailer already. Where's Avengers? Give me Avengers now. Blah, blah, blah. It'll get them viewers, but it's not going to get them attention or retention on viewers and numbers and these sorts of things. So it's just like,
but do they care?
Doggy treats. I don't know, I suppose, is the point. But if they think that getting people in that only want to watch an Avengers trailer and then the type of show that the Oscars is the same sort of key audience, I don't think it adds up. That's MTV Movie Awards to me. It's why that show exists.
All right, let's jump into these awards because we've got a bunch of them.
Right,
so let's start off with Best Visual Effects. The nominees are Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, and Solo, A Star Wars Story.
Do you want to go first or me?
I will go first. I think Avengers Infinity War. It's pretty much the only thing they're up for. I think they'll get it.
I went for Ready Player One.
That's fair. Even though you hate it.
Well, we're talking... Look. Don't you fucking say, Suicide Squad won an Oscar. It probably deserved.
The visual effects are pretty good in that.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the Shining thing, and they get
the
all
whole fucking
pop
movie
culture
is just
people.
basically visual effects shitfest, so...
Yeah, that's fair. Next up, sound mixing. The nominees are Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, Roma, and A Star Is Born. I think A Star Is Born.
I went First Man.
Okay.
But I haven't seen your movie, and you haven't seen mine.
Yeah, that's true. All right. At least there is no Dunkirk this year, so...
No.
Best sound editing, Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, A Quiet Place, and Roma. I'm going to go Quiet Place.
I did too.
Yeah. I think just it's so different to everything else that it'll might swing the votes.
I just think sound editing is really important to that movie that has a lot of parts that actually have no sound. But the actual sound editing is so important to get it to have the effect it does, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we have the best short live action.
These are guesses.
Yeah, pretty much. The nominees are Detainment, Fave, Margaret, Mandarin, and Skin. I'm going to guess Skin.
I guessed five, whatever it is.
Which one?
Fourth.
Okay, cool.
Fourth.
Then best short animated. The nominees are Animal Behavior, Bow, Late Afternoon, One Small Step, and Weekends. I guess, well, I'm going to predict Bow. That I've seen that one, so that's pretty great.
I predicted it, and I've also seen it, so that's why I picked it.
Yeah, easy one. Then next up, best production design. Nominees are The Favourite, Black Panther, First Man, Mary Poppins Returns, and Roma. I'm going to predict Black Panther.
I also picked Black Panther, although I was struggling to pick between that and The Favourite. I haven't seen The Favourite, but I just time period wise, the Academy kind of usually
It'll be one of those two.
Yeah.
Best original song: All the Stars from Black Panther, I'll Fight from RBG, The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns, Shallow from A Star Is Born, and When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Clearly, a Shallow is going to win. I think.
I clicked Shallow as well. Just
although we all thought, what was it called? The Greatest Showman song was going to win last year.
This is us.
Yeah. And then the Coco song. So, who knows?
Yeah. Fucking, we both predict Shallow, and then all of a sudden my man Kendrick wins, and then everything will be thrown.
Can't be too upset. The nominees for best original score: Black Panther for Ludwig Göransson, Black Klansman for Terence Blanchard, If Beale Street Could Talk for Nicholas Brittle, Isle of Dogs for Alexandra Desplat, and Mary Poppins Returns for Mark Shaman. I know. I guess maybe If Beale Street Could Talk. I haven't heard that one, but just going with my gut.
I haven't watched it, but I picked Isle of Dogs just solely because Alexander. I think it's Desplat. I'm not. I think.
Don't know.
Just solely because of him.
Yeah. Okay. Then up for best makeup and hairstyling: Border by Goran Lundstrom and Pamela Goldhammer, Mary Queen of Scots, Jenny Shearcore, Mark Pilcher and Jessica Brooks, and Vice, Greg Canham, Kate Briscoe, and Patricia Dehaney. I have to go Vice.
I went Vice too.
Yeah. to see Christian Bale's face. I mean, it's.
Yeah, it feels like a shoe-in to me.
I mean, yeah, pretty much because last year with Gary Oldman playing Winston Churchill,
Darkest Hour.
Makeup is, yeah, that one for makeup and hair styling. So
yeah, I haven't seen Mary's Queen of Scots, but like I know that is very like. I'm sure the makeup and everything looks good, but it's just compared to the prosthetics and makeup
just
and
transformation.
hair and, the transformation. I feel like Vice just wins out surely.
Although Border, I wouldn't be shocked if that gets it because it's like a bunch of monsters or whatever with that. Even for it to be nominated is surprising because it's like a small foreign film. So, best foreign language film: Capernaum from Lebanon, Cold War from Poland, Never Look Away from Germany, Roma from Mexico, and Shoplifter from Japan. Can Roma lose this? I don't think so.
I clicked Cold War. Because there's some decisions I have upcoming, which base me into thinking...
You think the love is going to get spread around?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay. I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. Best film editing. Black Klansman for Barry Alexander Brown. Bohemian Rhapsody, John Ottman. The Favourite, Yorgos... Hard to pronounce. Mavra... That's as far as I'm going to get. Green Book, Patrick J. Don Vito, and Vice for Hank Corwin. I went with The Favourite.
I went with Black Klansman.
Okay. Interesting. It's such a toss-up, I think, film editing sometimes. None of them really stand out. I think they're all pretty good. But
I haven't seen them all, it's a problem, but...
Yeah, that too. That's the one that's hard to guess if you haven't seen it. So, best documentary short: Black Sheep, Endgame, Lifeboat, A Night at the Garden. Period. End of sentence.
This is a guess one.
Yep. I'm gonna guess Lifeboat.
I guessed Endgame just so they can give the Avengers one award for the night.
Wow, can't believe they did the documentary short like set right. Although, let me just say, period, end of sentence is one of the best titles I've seen. Great title.
It's a thing, yeah.
Yeah. Best documentary feature: Free Solo, How County This Morning, This Evening, Minding the Gap, Of Fathers and Sons, and RBG. I'm going to go Free Solo. I've heard nothing but great things about that.
I similarly went RBG because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah. I guess it is an American award and they might want to give an Oscar to RBG.
Yeah.
You know, she's a big person over there.
I feel like it's that or Free Solo are the ones I've heard the most about though, so.
But I heard Minding the Gap is very good as well, so.
Oh, that's true. I've heard.
Yeah, it's very tough. It's like a
I haven't heard of those other two at all though.
Yeah. Best costume design: The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Mary Zophres, Black Panther, Ruth Carter, The Favourite, Sandy Powell, Mary Poppins Returns, Sandy Powell, and Mary Queen of Scots, Alexandra Byrne. I'm going to go with The Favourite.
I went with Black Panther. I know this is one of those ones where I maybe let my heart pick too much for me, but I can't vote against myself
that is
sometimes.
Totally fair, yeah. Best cinematography: Cold War, Lucas Zal, The Favourite, Robbie Ryan, Never Look Away, Caleb Deschanel, Roma, Alfonso Cuarón, and A Star Is Born, Matthew Libatique. I'm going to go Cold War. It just picked up the best cinematographer award. So, what was that?
I went with The Favourite.
The Favourite. Okay. So interesting. Best animated feature: The Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's got to be Spider-Man. It's been cleaning up everywhere and deservedly.
Yeah, I went with Spider-Man as well.
All right. Then we have Best Supporting Actress. Amy Adams for Vice, Marina de Tavira for Roma, Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone for The Favourite, and Rachel Weisz for The Favourite. I'm going to go with Regina King. I think the two favourite actresses cancel each other out.
I went with Rachel Weisz.
Okay. Best Actress. Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, Glenn Close for The Wife, Olivia Colman for The Favourite, Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born, and Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me. I'm going to guess, it's because this is really close, Glenn Close for The Wife.
I went with Yalitza Aparicio.
Interesting.
Gotta start getting in my Roma votes.
Yeah. Best Supporting Actor, Mahershala Ali for Green Book, Adam Driver for Black Klansman, Sam Elliott for A Star Is Born, Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell for Vice. I'm guessing Mahershala Ali for Green Book. Seems to be winning every single award prior to this.
Yeah, I went the same.
Smart.
Is this the only one we tied on? Is that the only tie?
So far, I think.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man. Oh, I'm sure there's some other ones. Yeah. Best Actor, Christian Bale for Vice, Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born, William Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and Viggo Mortensen for Green Book. Again, favorite is Rami Malek, so who's that sort of gone with?
Yeah, I went with Rami Malek as well. The only award without having watched the movie, the only award I'm okay with that movie winning.
Okay, so then Best Original Screenplay, The Favourite, First Reformed, Green Book, Roma, and Vice. I think they're going to give it to First Reformed.
I went with The Favourite.
Interesting. Best Adapted Screenplay, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Klansman, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, A Star Is Born. I think they give it to Black Klansman.
I went with Black Klansman as well.
Yeah. Give it to Spike. Is Spike Lee wrote it?
Yeah.
Have you got the writers? Yeah.
Yeah. I think someone else may have been involved, but
yeah,
not. I know he was, yeah.
All right. Then Best Director, Black Klansman, Spike Lee for Black Klansman, Powell Polinsky for Cold War, Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favourite, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, and Adam McKay for Vice. I'm going Alfonso Cuarón for Roma.
Me as well.
And then, up for Best Picture, Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favourite, Green Book, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice. I'm going to go for Roma. I think it's going to clean up.
I'm also going for Roma.
Yeah.
Which I'd be okay with because obviously I just talked about. I quite like that movie.
Yeah.
Will you watch it if it wins?
Yeah, sure.
That's the ultimate thing. It has to win, so Ash will watch it.
Well, yeah. That I only watch Academy Award winning films now. So those are the predictions. Find out next week who did better, I guess. Do you want to put something
Next
on the
episode?
Line? Yeah. How about the loser has to watch something the winner tells them to?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
All right. All right, but the Oscars are not till the 25th. Dylan, what did we end up watching this week?
This week, we watched Drive.
If I drive for you,
You give me a time and a place. I give you a 5-minute window.
anything happens in that 5 minutes and I'm yours, no matter what. I don't sit in while you're running it down. I don't carry a gun. I drive.
Yes, Drive, the 2011 film directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. tells the story of a mysterious Hollywood stuntman and mechanic who moonlights as a getaway driver and finds himself in trouble when he helps out his neighbor. I remember seeing this film in the cinemas when it first came out. Were you similar?
No, I didn't watch it till it came out in Blu-ray.
Yeah, I was in film school at the time, so there was a lot of buzz about this film, so I went out and checked it out in its original release. Obviously, I don't know if it's aged greatly. We'll start off there. Yeah, I feel like it's very slow, and especially, I don't know if it's just my memory. I feel like it was more special, I guess. I feel like a lot of things have passed it by. I don't know. It is incredibly violent, unexpectedly violent. It just takes a violent turn out of nowhere, which I think is probably what drew a lot of people in and got it raving. It has an incredible opening, but it isn't like the most fancy. Like, it's not Baby Driver. I mean, which is, I think, my comparison to it now, because they're similar-ish films.
Yeah, but I think Baby Driver is set in a fantasy world and Drive is set in a realistic world.
Yeah, that's probably a fair distinction.
Because, like, in that opening scene, which I fucking love, the opening of this movie.
It's great.
It sets itself up in a realistic world. It isn't a gigantic 20 police car chase, epic drifts around old corners. You know, it's actually a very methodical, realistic by all accounts, as someone who doesn't do car driving.
You don't do getaway driving?
Yeah, I don't do getaway driving, but from all accounts, it's a very realistic way to go about it, and the way, like, it's, you know, hiding and slow and pulling up and the cops and having the radio and all these sorts of things. It's very tense and whatever. But it from the opening, it does set up like it's cold drive and it's about a driver, and you know there's probably gonna be violence in the movie, and it's a crime movie, but it's also not a unrealistic crime movie. It's not a Hollywood movie, you know. It's set in Hollywood, but it's not a Hollywood movie. I think one of the weirdest things I find about this movie is it was his biggest success to date. Nicholas Winding Refn's his biggest success to this date, and I think a lot of people who watch this movie the first time struggle the second time, because I think maybe they zone in and out the first time watching it, and then they come out high off the last act or something like that. And then, like what you're saying now, you watch it the second time, and you're like, this movie is kind of slow to start off with, and all these sorts of things, because it's not an action movie. It's not your typical crime movie or any of these things. It is much like all of his other movies. It is, I don't know, like what I like to refer to as an SBS film. Which basically means an art house type film. It is an art house action crime drama. You know, it's not your typical action movie. So, but I love it. I consider Drive one of my favorite movies of all time. I've watched it lots and lots of times, and the character, Ryan Gosling's character, and this is probably one of my favorite action. I consider like one of my favorite action characters. Like I've at one point was bidding on a replica of his jacket on eBay for like
that is such a sweet jacket. Like I don't think I could pull it off, but
no, I wouldn't wear it, but I've tried to get one. I tried to get it just solely to have it hang up and be cool. But from all aspects of this movie, I love the writing. I love all the characters because they're all multi-layered, you know, and there's this really great part in the movie where Ryan Gosling's character is sitting down on that couch with that kid. And it's like, who's that? Oh, that's a bad guy, the shark. I think this shark scene kind of sets up a lot of the movie. It's like, oh, how do you know that's a bad guy? Because it's a shark. And then Ryan Gosling goes, can't any sharks be good? No, because they're sharks. Which I think is kind of like talking about his character, which is, you know, he's not a good guy. Like he's a good guy though, is the thing. Like when it comes down to it, what he tries to do throughout the movie is help out her and the kid and stuff. And you never see him kill anyone that doesn't technically have it coming. But he is a criminal, and he is what the government and what normal society would deem as a bad guy. He is the shark roaming through the ocean that people would point out and say that's a bad guy. But when it comes down to it, is he? And that's kind of what I think that's why I like that particular scene so much, because I think it plays up his character. And you can draw over resemblances. Shark white, his jacket silver, white, whatever else. So, but I've also watched this movie a lot. That's why I think about weird things like this to the point where I'm boiling down weird scenes like this on the couch. But yeah, it's a very stylistic movie.
Definitely.
That takes your typical crime movie. Like, there's so many movies like this, really, where the crime or the heist goes wrong, and then they got betrayed by someone, and it always has an epic payoff and whatever at the end. But this one doesn't like have a happy ending. It just kind of has an ending that's makes sense for the plot reasons and what was happening, and shot amazingly. It's kind of like this throwback to 60s, 70s. The way it's stylized and everything, with the pink writing, and the soundtrack's absolutely fucking phenomenal.
Oh man, when that synth track kicks in right after the titles,
it's
like, fuck, this is awesome.
Yeah, I would have listened through to the soundtrack so many times on my account. Spotify, it's like constant rotation. Love it. It's I think if you don't like it, I don't really know what there's not to like, unless you are really someone that wants more high octane, silly action in your movies, because this is kind of what I would refer to as a smart action movie, I guess. It's like definition, because it is an action movie. It is a heist. It is a crime movie or whatever, but it's taken out all the dumb fun that's injected into normal Hollywood movies. And I'm not saying that they're bad, because we watch those as well, and I enjoy those, but this is definitely like, hey, how about if you tell that story within conditions that actually make sense, with characters that are more realistic, and there isn't like a plain line of good, evil here, swing here. It's like even Bryan Cranston's character. Yeah. Like, you gather he's good, and he's presented as good, but he does bad things. And in his past he's done bad things, and he continues to kind of do bad things. It's like every character is swinging up and down. It's like even Oscar Isaac's character. He was in prison. He did bad things. He comes back. We're meant to hate him. They set the movie up for the viewer to hate him, because they set up a relationship with Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan. So then when he comes back, it's kind of like the viewers automatically supposed to be like, get the fuck out of here, so those two can be together. But then you kind of like him because you feel sorry for him, and you understand why he's being forced into the position he is, and you can see he's actually trying. So that there's lots.
I mean, you probably like him even more now because it's also Isaac.
Well, there's that as well. I think it's one of the. I think when you look back, you know how people like to say, every century there's a couple of movies that kind of stand out as defining that century, and these sorts of articles and polls and whatever else people put up. Yeah. It's like, I think Drive will be looked back upon as kind of defining not defining, but like one of the X amount, like even if it's 50 or whatever. If you want to pick a movie per year or a couple movies per year, I definitely feel like Drive is kind of one of the standouts for the 10 years.
I feel like it does have it's had a lot of influence on like other things, like some video games. Like, I see that pink text everywhere now, I feel like. And then obviously Hotline Miami is a huge game that's pretty much stole everything about it from Drive. So
a lot of movies try to mimic it after the fact, and they just couldn't get down the fact. But and then also on the other hand, a lot of people go to watch Nicholas's other movies, and they're like, "Oh, this is shit. It's nothing like Drive. This is shit. It's nothing like Drive." And I kind of like that he doesn't just try and make Drive, not Drive 2, but like a similar product again, because he's a director that continues just to make. Because to him, Drive is probably his most commercially made movie, but still, when you look at it, it isn't within the normality of movie making reigns in like Hollywood or whatever. But it's his most American movie. But a lot of his other movies are really weird and funky, and you've got Neon Demons, like crazy weird horror movie. Bronson, which is like this true story thing with Tom Hardy, fucking running around being really fucking weird. And his first couple of movies, the Pusher trilogy, which has Mads Mikkelsen in them, they're probably the most like this because they're actually about a crime sort of stuff, I guess, without the driver and stuff. But they're about crime families, and
Cool. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Dylan, where can people find you on Twitter and on Trakt.tv?
All the things. Viva la Dil. VIVALADIL.
And you can also find me there at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can follow the Explosion Network. This is a part of over at Explosion Pod. You can check out our Twitch content over at twitch.tv/Explosion Network. You can check out our review discussions and other stuff over at youtube.com/Explosion Network. And you can find all our other podcasts and reviews and news stories and all that good stuff at explosionnetwork.com. If you want to talk to us about movies and other TV and online content, head over to our Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. We're regularly in there talking about stuff. If you've got any questions or any queries, send us an email at mail@explosionnetwork.com. And as always, it'd be really helpful if you leave us a review either on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or give us a follow on Spotify, or just tell somebody about the show. Like, just give them a jacket with like a scorpion on it with the words Explosion Network on it for some reason.
I want that.
Thing. Yeah. If you give that to Dylan, it wouldn't be helpful, but he would really appreciate it because he already knows what the Explosion Network is. All right. Until next time. Keep watching stuff, I guess.